Welcome to the Cafe of Dreams. This is Frank Thomas with Lynn Kitchen. This is part 2 of the special podcast where we talk about living life by design or by default. If you haven't listened to the first one, I do recommend listening to that first. Otherwise, enjoy this podcast.
We need to then say, how can we challenge ourselves to think that there is a place within mind where there isn't ease and grace? Well, we just say there is, and then become curious and allow ourselves a little bit of time. Just like when you became discouraged, you gave yourself a break, 3 weeks or so, I think you said, and that's really allowing that higher part of our brain to work on the solution, even during our sleep, because we're not truly conscious of the fact that our brains are far, far more powerful than we even know or consciously use. So there's that part of our brain that can go to work for us. And it's the same thing when we say, let's just become curious about what it could be if it were to be easy. What would that feel like? What would it look like? And what would the circumstances need to be? What are the new thought forms that I would need to hold on to create new circumstances under the aegis of easy?
Exactly. It's almost like you let the minutiae of the problem that shouldn't be there become a bigger problem. And you got to, when you pose the question, how would it be easy? You kind of cut to the chase and say, if you just got to get it done, how would you do it?
Yeah. How could it be easy? And then become curious, because our genius minds within has the information. Here's one thing that I really, really love that my mentor helped me with. That there is a dream. For every dream that we have, there is a power great enough to bring that dream into fruition, because within the dream, the intelligence already exists for its full execution. The dream already knows the path that it needs for its full execution. So, there is a place within us that already knows the exact formula, and it's usually an easy one. The easier and the more elegant solution is usually the path of least resistance as well. And it's just amazing how our minds, once we're open to it, and with the belief that anything can be created, twice, first in our minds and then in reality, if we really get down to it. Do you believe that? I'm asking your audience right now, Frank, do you believe that? Do you believe that your dream has the power to bring itself about? Do you believe that anything that you dream up, that you just dream it up, that it can come into creation by your belief in the power of your dream?
Absolutely.
Very few people know that.
Absolutely. Because, I've encountered times where I've been bringing a new idea to market or, something within my life, and it started out as a dream. There's times it grabs me by the throat and drags me along because I'm kicking and screaming because I'm not sure anymore. But, it pulls me along. So it's got to be there. It's got to have, literally almost like this dream forms, as you're forming the dream, and the dream is formed, it almost takes a life of its own.
Yes. I love that. I love when that happens, and I love the fact that, in a way, it's almost like life wanting more of itself through you, through your dreams. It's almost as if, you've probably heard this, that your dream is searching for you just as much as you're searching for it. That there is that life force that wants more and more through you as you to expand. Life is always wanting an expansion of itself. Every blade of grass wants, every blade of grass can push through cement seeking the light, right? And so it's as if our dreams are the same way. They're They're just wanting to be nourished. And we go from dream to dream to dream. It's almost like a cycle of expansion itself. You can kind of maybe think of a tunnel, or a funnel, almost like a cyclone funnel, where at the bottom is a circular narrowness, and then as it moves up, it's a widening circular pattern that we all move up in a spiral of becoming, I like to call it. Mm-hmm. A spiral of becoming means that we move from dream to dream to dream through an expanded awareness of who we can become.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're making me think here.
Yeah, I love that. Who we can become. And it's not necessarily achieving any one dream as much as the real pleasure and magic is who we become in the process.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of times we shortchange ourselves because either one of two things happen. We don't dream big enough, or we just think we can't do it.
Well, that's right. We think we can't do it. Many of us have big, big dreams, right? And we think we can't do it, and therefore what happens is, those dreams are just silly, or, dreams are for dreamers, or, most people just say, well, that's not a dream, that's a pipe dream, that's a fantasy. Mm-hmm. But most people really do allow themselves to not put much credence into their own dreams because they have so quickly annihilated the possibility of having or maybe deserving their dreams. So you're right, we don't dream big enough, but at the same time we have this knee-jerk reaction that squelches our dream before we even get started. And that's why I like to call that's truly living in default, where the default structure in our mind is either A, it can't be done, or B, I don't deserve it.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that even having a mentor will help bring out too is recognizing what your inner voice is doing to you. One thing that I read recently was, is your inner voice murdering your dreams? Is it murdering your plans? Things like anything negative, like I can't, I don't know, I'm stupid, or, and we have this inner dialogue that continuously defeats us before we can even start. Yeah.
That's right. And that is called what I like to call, in my Cafe of Dreams, it's a sequence of 3 different kinds of kitchens. And I call it the sequence of your dream. First, if your dreams go through what I call the victim diner, mm-hmm. Most dreams get completely burned up, or we burn down our kitchen and the dreams will fall away or get just burned up. Many, many people have been victims of their own thinking. That's just exactly what you're saying. That negative inner dialogue is self-victimization. So we often are programmed, and it takes a lifetime for some of us to deprogram so that we can overcome those inner cues, the inner dialogue that happens on a daily basis, on a minute-by-minute basis. Otherwise, if we are allowing the I can'ts and I can't to dominate, then we're in the victim diner. And in the victim diner, my goodness, there's blame and there's fear, and mostly it's I can't do this because fill in the blank, because somebody else is holding me back, because I don't have enough money, because I don't deserve it, because my mother said I'll never be successful, whatever it is, fill in the blank. I can't because, well, that's living in victim. And there's nothing quicker than that will burn up a dream and maybe even burn down your kitchen.
Yeah, exactly.
Faster.
It's interesting. I was talking to somebody about 4 or 5 months ago, and they approached me with an idea. And one of the things that came out, like, he was really cautious. He was really paranoid, literally to a place of paranoia, that I had to sign a non-disclosure before he telling me his idea. And I said, sure, that's fine. I signed a non-disclosure. I'm not going to share it with anybody. And one of the things that came out in conversation was I had this other idea and somebody took it. And I turned to him and I said, well, why didn't you still go forth with it? Well, somebody else did it. And I said, but you might have done it better. And
what did he say?
He changed the topic very quickly.
You pushed a button there.
But, that is something, too, that in town here we have, probably 6 or 7 pizzerias. And I was talking to an entrepreneur who's going to be coming into town here, and I've tasted his cooking. And it's funny, it's a kitchen, too. But I recently tasted his cooking, and it's excellent. And, I could hear him say, I was thinking of opening up in your town, but there's a lot of pizzerias there. And I said, but you are unique. And this is really good. I think that you shouldn't take that negativity. And I really think you should take a shot at it, is what I said to him. Because you have the market, you're doing it better than everybody else. This is really nice, and you're doing it better than everybody else. And I wouldn't tell you this to bring you to a place of failure, but I'd love you to open the place because I become one of your patrons.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's true. Most people have huge fears around expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Because that can create a very, very real fear of failure, fear of competition, fear of doing, not succeeding according to your plan, and certainly the lack of belief. He had a lack of belief that it could be him. Many times I've had moments in my life where I've had a lack of belief that it could be me who could be wealthy, for example. I've had a lack of belief that it could be me who could be anything. Mm-hmm. I remember when I first got into the stock brokerage business back in 1976 at the age of 26, at a time when stockbrokers were everywhere. Mm-hmm. I thought, well, the world really doesn't need one more stockbroker. Surely I will not be able to succeed because look at all of the competition out there. Mm-hmm. Probably similar to your thinking of, pizzerias are everywhere. But one can become a stockbroker and bring your heart and soul into it and do well for your clients. It's not as if you have to succeed for the entire world. It's just a matter of doing well for your clients, and that gentleman doing well for his patrons. And sometimes we don't get a chance to see that that we can do well, doing whatever it is that our hearts desire. Instead, we get overwhelmed with thinking that we have to be famous for the whole world or something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Absolutely true. So we're in a victim diner. Let's say I'm in the victim diner and I am in unbelief and I have fear happening and I'm very unhappy because of where I am. You said there's 3 diners. What was the next stage you see people enter into?
The next stage is what I call the ordinary grill. And what happens is when people are in the victim diner, usually there's some kind of a consequence that they face. Some failure happens. Let's say it's the failure of your business, a bankruptcy. It could be a failure of your marriage. You see, it could be a relationship that has failed, but these are usually teaching points in our life, right? There's certainly times in which all of us fall and fail. Mm-hmm. Not because we, necessarily are lacking of anything, but usually because we're subject to some sort of fear, resentment, or lack of awareness. But there's a consequence that happens as a result of that. And when you're coming out of the victim diner, you kind of dust yourself off and say, well, now I need to change. Now I need to change. But what I have found is that most people change in the opposite direction than what they should. Instead, they go to what I call the safety zone first. Mm-hmm. They've just been hurt. They've just been harmed in some way, they feel. And so now their next step in life is to be very, very careful and cautious, never to let that happen again.
Literally, another knee-jerk reaction.
Yes, it's almost as if they go back in the opposite direction too far. A knee-jerk reaction in the opposite direction will put you squarely in the ordinary grill. Mm-hmm. What I call that is the ordinary grill is a place where you're looking to be safe and you're looking to be in your comfort zone just to get by for quite a long time. And you probably have friends who have been in the same job, not happy, certainly not making very much money, or have been satisfied with making the same amount of money for maybe a whole decade, and no changes, because if they should stretch beyond that, God forbid, maybe they'd lose everything. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So there's then the ordinary grill is a place in which you find yourself making decisions based upon just staying safe, staying within a comfort zone, not getting too risky, because you surely don't want to have anything untoward happen to you, because after all, look what happened when I did try to go after my dreams, or look what happened, I failed. I started a business and failed. But how many of the great people failed many, many times? Steve Jobs. We have people in our history who have had multiple failures before they came upon their success. Whether it's in business or relationships or anything else, I do find that most people will first go into the ordinary grill before they then move into some sort of the next iteration of who they are becoming in life, and begin to say to themselves, wait a minute, that's really not where my dream lives either. Mm-hmm. The ordinary grill is a waste of time. Mm-hmm. I can get caught there thinking I'm okay, and I might be okay circumstance-wise, but I'm not living the vision. I'm not living my highest inner calling. Mm-hmm. And that's when, you can get stuck in the ordinary grill with a lot of procrastination happening for decades. Yeah. And suddenly you turn around and you're 60 years old or whatever, and really nothing's changed.
Exactly.
In fact, I have a friend who said, you can live life, you can, a 90-year-old, you can look at a 90-year-old and ask, has that person lived truly a magnificent 90 years, or has he or she lived the same year 90 times? So we have to really be cognizant. Are we just getting by, or are we following our dreams?
Exactly. And, it's a slippery slope, because you're right. We live in this place of comfort, and, I have to honestly say, in North America, we almost have too much comfort. I remember reading stories about the immigrants who were coming to America in the early turn of the last century, and they came from places where there was no opportunity. There was none whatsoever, and they come here, and it's like we're picking up money off the street. This is amazing, and they could see the opportunity, whereas the person whom was in that situation couldn't. And because they were literally, like you said, living in the ordinary grill, they were going day by day, doing their thing, and not looking, not imagining, not thinking beyond themselves.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is a wake-up call here, and Cafe of Dreams message, it really is not for everybody. It is definitely for those who are seeking, who are seekers, who are looking for the opportunities. Who, diamonds are everywhere underneath our feet. We just don't recognize them as diamonds. But each and every one of us can live a life that is always inquisitive of what feels expansive. What would I love? What would I really, really love? What are my desires? What are my discontents? Pay attention to your inner cues. Have a belief in the power of your capacity to dream, and then have the belief that there are people there who are just waiting and willing to help pull you forward, who are partners in believing, who want to see you succeed more than even you do now. So, we're looking for people who really want to move forward and love the concept of doing so inside of a structure of the power of mentorship, helping each other, as I said before, having a mentor and being one as a way of life.
And I can give testimony to the fact, like I've been blessed by the fact that because I've been working with you, Lynn, that have been mentored by you. I cannot be oblivious to working with a lot of what you talk about and not be impacted by that. And I would have to say that it forces me into this place of uncomfortability, like, because now I'm feeling accountable, and but something, it's the best place to be. It's a good place to be, in a place where somebody can look in and say, "Hey, Frank, why aren't you helping this along? Like, what's going on here? Or why are you doing this? Or why are you thinking this?" And because a mentor brings you to accountability.
And, you're right. And I'm just so thrilled that you even mentioned that. Thank you so much for acknowledging that something that I may have said has helped you. And that's the excitement. We all deserve everything great, and we deserve to celebrate our lives. Life is for the living, and life is love. We all want the peace, the expansion, the success. I believe we can have it all. I know that it's available to all of us, and we don't have to do it alone. And that is what I love the most, is that you're willing to feel uncomfortable on the edge of becoming your greatest yet to be. Frank.
And it's awesome. When you go from that place, because what's really neat is we can use the capacity that we have in our minds to take the complex and make it simple to our advantage.
Yeah.
Because we can take a process or a problem and get through it, and all of a sudden it becomes part of us. And now we have it's almost like going up a set of stairs, and you take a step up. And you got it. This next step's a tall one, but you take the step. But once you've taken the step, it's easy.
Yes.
And what's happening along the way is you're accomplishing that dream. And the dream, the neat thing about dreams is that let me give you an example, Lynn, of a dream I had a long, long time ago. And that was to be location independent. I wanted to be able to work and not have to be in a particular city or a particular place, or punch a clock from 8 to 5. And I actually woke up about 2 months ago in the middle of the night. It was really strange. I woke up, I was dreaming about the fact that I was still working in my last job. I loved what I did in my last job, but I did not like the fact that I wasn't I wasn't working with my own dreams. And that's what motivated me to a life of entrepreneurship. And I realized that I did it. But along the way, I'm dreaming more, and I'm dreaming bigger things, and I'm dreaming different things. Now it's just not becoming location independent. It's about doing exactly what I want to do while I'm location independent. And
yes.
And that's amazing.
Yes, it is amazing, and it's, so that's a great example of recognizing. Gee, look at what I did. Look at that. Look at how I did that. That's the power of my own becoming. That's the stepping up, and then you build on that, and now now it's not just that, because you've created that.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's, what else can I do? What's next?
Mm-hmm.
The power of that what's next question is the most powerful question we can ask ourselves.
Yeah.
What's next? What do I love?
Yeah. And I know that the outside transformation did start, like you said, it's two things. It started with the inside transformation, and that had to solidify before I could change the outside.
Beautifully said.
Mm-hmm.
Beautifully said, because it truly is an inside out life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that brings, us to the final point that I like to talk about, and that is that after we move through the victim diner into the ordinary grill, the third step is what I call the cafe of dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we are in touch with that inner cue, the inner cue of what it is that means the most to us, where you can then begin to create your highest and greatest gifts that you were put on this planet to give, your purpose, your highest, your best. They call it self-actualization, but really it's living from the inside out, the grandeur of who you are from the inside, matching that in the outside world, and truly celebrating the connection that you are one, feeling good and in the flow. And that's called being in the cafe of dreams, where you are living your dreams, conscious of what your dreams are, living a life of vision driven, written down, having written your vision and now working towards, step by step toward that vision on a daily basis, and truly enjoying life, celebrating your wins along the way, and ultimately being of service to others, in connection with others. And that's the Cafe of Dreams.
Absolutely. And I want to add in, too, that the Cafe of Dreams is also a place where you learn what your dreams are. Lynn and I had spent some time one afternoon just talking about me, and she turned the focus on me. She turned the spotlight on my dreams. And she said, you mentioned this particular thing, and that's very interesting. What have you done with that? Or what can you see yourself in that dream? And I've not been able to let it go.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah. And you know what? It's just a simple question. And yet it's hard for us to ask ourselves that question. Again, it's the power of having someone who cares about you, who believes in you, to just simply put the focus on you and say, hey, you're worth my love right now. And whatever it is that's calling you, let's bring that out and see what we can do. Let's get curious about what it wants to become through you and as you, because we really have more within us than we know. And sometimes it just takes a connection with another person who's empathetic, who really understands that it just takes a question or two. And that's why, I call it sitting with a partner in believing. Frank, because you know, and look at what you're doing, Frank. You're crafting and creating your dreams. We get to craft, and then we get to create. And there's nothing exciting. More fun than that.
Yeah, it's exciting. Makes you want to get out of bed in the morning. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
So Lynn, for the listeners of the show, what could they do next within themselves and also physically to become involved with the Cafe of Dreams? Well,
thank you for asking. Really, truly, the easiest step is to go to thecafeofdreams.com. And there you'll find an invitation, an opt-in, to become a patron of the cafe, in which you will immediately receive a fantastic ebook. It's kind of a cutting-edge ebook where You'll be able to see me doing interviews with some of the thought leaders of today, Mary Morrissey, Les Brown, Dr. Michael Beckwith, inside that ebook. It's a multimedia ebook that has both written material as well as a few videos that will tweak your interest into creating your dream. It's actually called From Dream to Table, a 5-course dream experience. So in the ebook, I ask you questions in the 5 areas of your life: your wealth, your relationships, your purpose, and your vision for your life. And then from there, you automatically become a patron, and you get to receive several of my weekly inspirations and lots of new upcoming events that only the patrons will be receiving. It would be a pleasure to have you as any of your audience, Frank, as a patron in the Cafe of Dreams.
Excellent. Yeah, it's very worthwhile. I've seen most of the materials, and it's stimulating, it's motivating. It's a dangerous message if you are complacent and you don't want to move forward, but it's an exciting message when you do want to go forward and you do want to do things next. So, Lynn, thank you very much. That was an excellent introduction into not only the Cafe of Dreams, but learning how to dream within ourselves and to recognize when we're living by default or living by design. I know next when we're going to be talking about the different cafes and diving in deeper so we can really, really, really see when we're stuck in one of those cafes where we should not be.
Right. I'm looking forward to that. And I'll be sharing with you a menu that in each one of those cafes. So how you know when you actually are in the victim diner and you didn't know it, and how you actually know that you might be stuck in the ordinary grill and you didn't know it. There was actually a menu that I'll share with you in the next time that'll make it very, very clear. Mm-hmm. And then going forward, first of all, I just want to say thank you, Frank. This has just been so much fun, and looking forward to the next time. Thank you so much.
And be sure to, like Lynn had mentioned earlier, to check out her website. That's thecafeofdreams.com. She does have the ability for you to receive a special gift. Be sure to check that out and stay tuned for the next time. Thank you so much, Lynn.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you so much.